My name is Sharon Rogers and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I'm happy to have you here. Has anybody chimed in yet as to whether we're going to do it in Melon Mambo or Daffodil Delight? I don't care. I have the supplies cut and ready for both. So if you want to just chime in, the first person that I see that chimes in is what we will do tonight. It's a very simple card. We are using the True Love Designer Series paper, and that comes from the mini catalog that is good through the end of June, and it's on this spread that is really Valentine's themed. This started in January, so Valentine's was, just around the corner. But all right, Daffodil Delight it is. But you don't have to limit this to Valentine's. Obviously, hearts are also good for weddings and, all sorts of things. But this paper is really more floral than anything else. So it doesn't have to be Valentine's. In fact, it's on this page and it's called True Love Designer Series paper, but there's no hearts or anything. It's just floral and then some geometric designs. So we are going to start with a piece of basic black cardstock, and this is just your normal card base. It is 5.5 inches this way, and it's 8.5 scored at the 4 1/4 mark and folded. We have a piece of Whisper White Basic White that will go inside, and it is cut just 1/4 inch less in both dimensions, so it is 4 inches by 5 1/4. You have picked Daffodil Delight, so I have a piece of Daffodil Delight cardstock that is 2 inches by 4.5 inches, and I actually wrote down the measurements here, so I'm going to keep them here, and you can look at them if you need to see them, and if you want to watch the video back and copy those down, you can. And then we have a piece of vellum, which is 2 3/4 by 4 inches. And vellum is something I don't use a lot, but every time I see vellum, I think, oh, I need to use it more. So we're going to use it tonight. So in this True Love pack, let me show you some of the designs. You can see it in the catalog too. But there's these kind of look like wild roses to me. These are a little bit more cultivated roses. This is the one we're going to be using tonight. And on the back are some really pretty stripes. But because I like these roses so much, I don't use the stripes too much, even though I love those stripes. And then there's this one that we're going to be using as the background for our card. And on the back is very, very varied flowers, but some of them are really tiny, and you can color these if you want to. It takes a lot of work though, let me tell you. So on the back of this was this geometric design, and then there's these daisies, and these daisies are really pretty too, with a diagonal stripe. And then there's some more flowers, some smaller roses with some, I don't know, lupins maybe, with polka dots on the back. And then there's this other very small, intricate floral background that's got this kind of really cool geometric design on the back. And I think that might be all of them. Yeah, I think I've shown you all of them. So let's get started and show you how quick and easy this card really is. Unless, of course, you take a long time to color, and then it won't be. I'm going to start with this piece right here, and I need to get my scissors out. I'm going to just rough cut right around here. I'll trim it up a little bit better after I've colored, but I just want to get this off the paper right now. Here we go. There we go. And that's really what we're going to need. So no stamping, not too much stamping involved in this one. I'm going to put my Melon Mambo aside before I mistakenly grab it and actually use it. I'm going to be using my Stampin' Blends, And with these, it colors up very nicely. I'm going to begin with my dark blend, and that's usually what I do. I'm also going to start with the harder end tip, just because I want to really get a little bit more detail in here. And I want to be pretty bold. I am using the lines in the image to tell me where to put the dark ink. That's where the shading is going to be. So the material, the card, the paper itself really has a lot of the work done for you. And I'm not going to worry about the center of this very much, because most of it's all black. You can try to color it if you want to. So usually when you're coloring flowers, they're going to be a little bit darker where things are overlapping. So these back petals are going to be a little darker in here because the petals in the front are casting a shadow. And it's usually a little, so here's a petal that is behind this petal. So I shaded that a little bit around the edge. You're not going to go wrong by coloring it straight. You don't have to do two colors. I'm going to bring in my light daffodil delight now. You're not going to go wrong with two colors or with just one color, but you definitely get more dimension if you use both colors. Now what I've noticed when I color this paper is sometimes it looks a little bit gray, and that's because the image on the back side is coming through a bit. But that is really very temporary. As soon as this dries, you'll never notice that. So as I'm coloring, I'm paying particular attention to where the light color runs into the darker color and just sort of blending that together. That's what these Stampin' Blends are good for, that's for sure. How many of you like to color? Sometimes I like it a lot. Actually, I seem to like coloring a lot more these days than I used to. Then I'm going to take my Granny Apple Green. I love Granny Apple Green. I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to start with the dark, and I will pay attention to the veins a bit and along the petal here. Coloring is relaxing. As long as you're not waiting to the last minute to make a card you need, coloring can be very relaxing and almost therapeutic. So I'm not really spending a whole lot of time figuring out and being precise in my coloring there. Now Stampin' Up! Actually has, over the years, had quite a few black and white options for designer series paper. And so you can do this with any black and white paper. Sometimes they're floral and sometimes they're not. But let me, for instance, show you, like you could color in these little diamonds and you could have you know, a black and, you know, green or black and pink or whatever colors you wanted to use. Doesn't have to be left white. And you also don't have to color something like this in with blends. What you would want to do here, I would think, is use your blending brush and just add some quick color. The black is going to absorb the color, so you're not going to see anything that you put over the black. You'll just see it where it was white. And now the thing that some of you probably aren't keen on, fussy cutting. I actually don't mind to fussy cut. I cut as close to the black line as possible, And when it's a little rough, I just sort of pretend I know I'm moving my scissors a little bit, but honestly, it's going to be fine if you see a little bit of white. I'm going to show you a trick in a minute. I've shown you a little bit, I've shown you that before, but that helps keep the white edges at bay. It's a little cheat, actually. I cut a little bit too much black off that one, but that's all right. You really, when you are the one making the card or cutting, you are probably far more hard on yourself and notice a lot more things than anybody that is receiving this card. First of all, somebody that's going to be receiving this card is going to think, oh, it's so pretty. I can't believe they made that. Maybe they don't even know that you made it. It's always nice to sign the back of your card. That kind of lets them know. Hard to sign the back of this card because it's in black. All right, here we go. Almost done. So I have a couple of areas where there's just a little hint of white, and I don't know if you can see it, but I can see it. And so if I want to get rid of that, here's how you do it. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to move the camera. I'm going to take my Stampin' Blend, and I am just going to run over the edge of this cardstock. Very gently, so I'm not wearing down the tip. I don't want to shred the tip at all. So that's all the green. You can also do it with Daffodil Delight. Just finishes off the white pieces in case there are any. Gives it a little bit more pop. And I don't know if you can tell, but I can tell here that the grayish has gone away. I missed a couple spots inside. There's nothing else I can do there. So there's my flower. So to put this card together, I also need a piece of this paper. And it is 1/4 of an inch less in dimensions than your card base. So I need something that is 5 1/4 inches long and 4 inches wide. I'm going to take my Stampin' Seal, just add some on the corners. Put this down right here. I've already gone ahead and cut a piece of Daffodil Delight cardstock, 2 inches by 4.5 inches. And I will put that down as well. Pretty much in the center of my card. That looks pretty good. Now for my vellum is going to sit over the top. But before I put that on, I need to actually stamp it. I've chosen to use the set Happy Thoughts. Here it is. This is also in the January to June mini catalog, and it will not be carrying over. It's got some great sentiments. I'm going to use Happy Birthday on this one, because I have a Happy Birthday card that I need to send out. And I don't know if you can tell, but I actually embossed this in black embossing powder, which we now carry again, which is awesome because the basic black is just so striking. I'm going to get my embossing tray out, my Versamark out. Don't need the white. My flower is going to go down here in the corner. So my happy birthday is going to come up to the top. Remember, when you're embossing, you don't want to touch your whatever you're embossing on very much, because the oils from your hand, especially when it's a nice day, will get on it. And by nice, I mean a nice warm day. The angle for me is kind of bad, but hopefully that's fairly straight. And now we just need to add that embossing powder. I'll funnel it back in. Oops, I missed most of that funnel. I give it a little flick. Sometimes that helps, sometimes it doesn't. I just usually keep a little bit of a brush around to get some of those strays off. That looks pretty good. Oh, one more here. All right, and now I can heat that. But let me put my embossing powder away first so I don't have a pile of melted embossing powder in my tray forever and ever. All right, so my heat tool, let me plug that in, make some room for stuff over here. Now with vellum, I sometimes like to, also for cardstock, I like to hit it on the underside first, a little bit, just helps keep things a little bit more even and discourages some warping and some flying away. And as soon as I see it get shiny, I move along. And once it's all shiny, you stop. Don't go any further. Now, it's not really a difficulty, but one of the things you need to watch out for when you're adhering vellum to something is you don't want to run the tape runner over the back of it just like you do other cardstock, because it will show through. So you might want to do some sneaky things. For instance, maybe, and I'm just using some glue dots that were left over from a paper pumpkin, so I might actually put one behind the P. And I know that my flower is going to come down here, so I can put some down there as well. Any place that's going to be hidden, a great place to put a glue dot. But I've also found that those two are just not enough. These ends might kind of curl a little bit. So here's what I did. I put this on, tried to make it straight. Yeah, that's pretty good. And with this background, I can kind of make it straight because I can line it up along with the geometric design there. So what I can do to tack maybe this corner down a little bit is take my glue dot, and actually I usually use the pokey end here. Come on. It's not going to play nicely. All right. Let me go to my real glue dots. It's easier on here. So I have my glue dots, and I'm going to roll it. And I don't know if you can kind of see this, but I'm just rolling it with the tip of my piercer. And these white diamonds actually help hide the glue dot. If you put the glue dot right on one of those diamonds, you really can't, it's not very obvious. So I did the same thing up at the top too. Roll it. And I'm going to just stick it right on here. Kind of get it as little, as much on just the white piece as I can. Now I want to pop this up on dimensionals. It just gives it a little bit more oomph. That is a word. There's a couple dimensionals. Take off the backing. I'm just gonna figure out how I want that in there. And just like that. And so there's my card. And you can see my shading in here. Some places are darker than others. If you notice a section where I need a little bit more shading, you can just go ahead and go back and do that. If you need less shading, you've always got the color lifter. But there's your card. So I think with black, I love the yellow. I also love the Melon Mambo. You know, they just really, really pop when you're talking about, combining it with black. Another color that's really nice with black, but I didn't want to use it because it's too close to the shade of the leaves, was Bermuda Bay. I love Bermuda Bay in black. There are a lot of great colors. With the new in colors, the polished pink would look great. So would the fresh freesia. The magenta madness from last year's in colors would look great. So there's lots of options. But we're not done here. I forgot. I digress. I forgot that we're not done because we need to add these little black dots. And I just recently got these black dots. They're matte black dots. They're also in the mini catalog and they've carried over to the new annual catalog. And we just need to decide what size dots that we're going to use. We can use the big ones, we can use the small ones, but I always want to use an odd number. And you can mix them. I could have one big one in the middle and then two small ones, one on each side. But I'm going to actually just go with small ones. These are a little bit puffier than I really like. I'd like them to be a little bit flatter, but they should go through the post office okay. As long as you don't have a million other layers. But there you go. 3 little black dots. Just add a little bit of pop to that card. Of course, what we have to do now is we have to also prepare the inside because you can't just, you got to have something for the inside. Now, because we used a flower, we're a little bit stuck. We didn't use a stamp. Now, you could get out a stamp if you wanted to, or you could kind of come over to your paper and say, look at these edges. These edges are here. Like, I can't feature that flower on the front because it's cut off here. However, what I could do is do the same thing. And if I cut it out, I can run it off the card. I would adhere this and then I'd cut around that card. But so you color it, you have it down there. I don't know if you want me to take the time. I mean, I haven't taken a whole lot of time tonight to do this anyway. Let's go ahead and use our grainy apple green. So in that Happy Thoughts stamp set, there's the little things you do so well and so often, make a big difference to so many people, or just wanted to send some happy thoughts your way. Today is great because it's all about you, the great person you are, the great things that you do. I'm just going to do the happy thoughts because I think this is just a happy card. And who knows if the person that I'm sending it to really does great things. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I mean, it might be true. Might not be true. Depends who I send it to, I suppose. So there we have. Just wanted to send some happy thoughts your way. let's go ahead and quickly, it didn't take me long to color the other one, so let's go ahead and quickly color this. It doesn't take long at all. Deb says, if you sent it to me, you know it would be true. Yes, Deb, you do great things. That is true. I know you're laughing over there too. I'm sure it is true for any stamper. We're good people. We like to do things for others, and it just so happens to feed our souls as well when we're creating. So you see, remember how, I don't know if you can tell, it looks dirty over here. But once it dries, it doesn't look dirty anymore. So don't panic and think there's something wrong with your blends, or you somehow dirtied them. It's just the wetness of the paper the time being. So while I'm finishing up, for those of you that are my customers, you know that there is a new catalog launch party tomorrow night on Zoom, and you should have received your bingo card in the mail by now. And go ahead and make sure that you have that handy. I sent you also a link to a scavenger hunt. And so if you want to go ahead and do that, the deadline for your answers to get to me via email is 4 o'clock tomorrow. All right, so I've got that colored. Let's go ahead and quickly cut this out. I'm not actually going to worry about this because I know that's going to fall off my card, and I don't really want to have to get in there. It's kind of a tight squeeze, so I'll make it fall off my card. I'm the boss of this piece of paper. It's got to do what I tell it to do. It's not like my kids who don't necessarily always listen to me. All you parents out there, you know. But to be fair, I don't always listen to them either, so. When my oldest son was very little, he has Asperger's, which actually they don't call it Asperger's anymore, but he has what they then would have called Asperger's. So he was, he got along pretty well, but he had the ADHD that goes along with that. And oh, if you fed that kid a Skittle, like a single Skittle or a single Starburst, that kid would talk non-stop for a long time. And then I figured out, oh, he doesn't really care if I'm listening. He just has to talk for some reason. So I let him talk. And I went about my business and didn't have to feel like I needed to respond to him. Although there were times that I'd say, did you have any candy at school? Oh yes, Mrs. So-and-so gave me a Starburst. Yeah, I thought so. So this corner, the flower, there's a gap in the flower, but I'm going to make it look like there's a piece of a leaf there. So there's the inside. It matches the outside. I'll just put that on the inside. And this card is ready to go to somebody. If I wanted to, I could put some of the this on the envelope, on the back of the envelope to match. I would not be coloring a lot on the envelope, so. But there we go. That's what we have for you tonight.